Welcome back to the Business of Becoming. I am your host, Stephanie. And before I get into this amazing topic of what we're talking about, I do want to mention that this Saturday, I am hosting a networking event at the Hard Rock Stadium. This is my third year doing it. It is for all incredible business people who are either starting business or have been in business for years, just connecting and making relationships that actually turn into something. Every single year, I've gotten incredible feedback. And if you're watching this now, that means the event already happened because I'm recording this before it. And I'm in the middle of chaos because if you've ever hosted an event, especially at the Hard Rock Stadium, which is insane to even say, it is crazy. And but I'm going to tell future me right now, it was amazing how awesome it was. Frank's going to put pictures here and here and here. And I'm going to be releasing a whole podcast episode on how we made that happen and a lot of the behind the scenes work that goes on into hosting such an incredible event in an international space, which is wild to even say. But let's get into this. Today, all of this inspired me to make this episode all about networking. The landscape has changed in the world that we live in on how we do business and how we get business. And so many of us have stuck to cold calls and door knocking and B2B, which is incredible. That helped me in the past. But the landscape of business is very different now. And networking, I think, is probably such an incredible tool that I want to teach you guys on my years and years and 15 years of just perfecting. So I'm going to give you guys some tips that are going to change the game for you guys. You've heard this a million times. Your network is your net worth. And if you have been one of these people that say, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone stuff and I'm going to go to a networking event, and you show up with business cards and you just stand there waiting for somebody to come and talk to you, you're networking wrong, okay? That's not what networking is. I have been one of those people. And here on this episode, I'm going to teach you guys some of the most strategic tools that I have used and I've developed to become an expert networker. And I can claim that because I've been there, I've done it, and I've seen the growth. So the last thing I ever want for any of you guys is to show up to an event, put on a pretty dress or, put your Sunday best, I guess you can say, and have nothing to show for it. That's been me. I've been in those rooms. I've shaken hands. I've handed out business cards. And there have been times, especially in my early career, where I had nothing to show for it. And it really discouraged me from continuing to go to these events and limited me into building relationships that now I've seen how much they have been so incredible for my business. Real networking grows your income, it grows your social circle, it grows your business, which is the most important thing. That's why we go to these networking events. And I have been in rooms where I felt completely invisible because I just didn't know what to do. I thought, well, let me just hand out this business card. And handing out a business card is not networking. It is socializing with a business card. And whether you're an extrovert or an introvert or you hate networking events, period, this episode is going to tell you why it is so important, and it's going to teach you how to actually enjoy what you're doing and actually make it make sense for you, your business, and your growth all around as an individual. Pillar number 1. Know who you are before you walk into a room. If you are going to a networking event, you need to have your core values already set in stone because this makes you confident already because now you know who you are, what you want, and why you're there. You need to know what your core values are because at that point, you can attract people to you rather than you having to go and fish for it. I know that number 1, I run multiple businesses and I love building businesses. That's my number 1 thing that I love to do when it comes into the networking world and the business world. Number 2, I know at the end of the day, I'm a mom. I'm raising babies while I'm doing this thing. And that resonates with some people. A lot of people are parents and they're also entrepreneurs or they're young parents or whatever. Those are things that don't change for me. And the last thing is that I'm doing it all in faith. I know to the core what my foundation is. And all those 3 things together they never change in any room that I go into. Every room that I go into, those things are always just pillars for me. And I know who I am before I walk into these rooms. And it allows me to stir up conversations around these three pillars that allow people in and allow people to really connect with me and allow me to connect with other people because, like I said, some people are parents, some people are building other businesses, or some people do have faith and or whatever they have faith in. But it's a great conversation to just stir up with others and let people know who you are, what you stand for, what's your core. It makes you stand out. It doesn't make you look like just someone passing out a business card saying like, "Hey, please choose me, pick me, like help me." No, you know who you are. You're confident, and you know what you're talking about because those three things never change. No matter what event you go to, your core values should never change, and that should always stick with you, and it will definitely stick with whoever you're talking to. I remember very clearly. I went to an event and I was I was really bummed because I was in Texas and I was missing my kids. I was beat. And I will never forget, I planned there to go there and I wanted to meet this very high profile individual that has offices nationwide. And I mean, this guy speaks in every conference that I know of. And is just an incredible human being and does so much for my industry. So I was like, I'm going to meet with him. I'm going to meet with him. And I'll never forget, I showed up and I was so bummed. I was so low. But I went because that's what we got to do. We got to work, right? And I went and I remember I went to meet with, in the room of people, I targeted him and I was like, I'm going to go talk to him. And as I was talking to him, he stopped mid-sentence and he was just like, "You look down. Are you okay?" And I froze because I was like, "Oh no, I look terrible right now. I'm supposed to like have my marketing thing up and like whatnot." And I just remember I got so honest and vulnerable with him. And I was like, "No, honestly, like I miss my kids. I miss my kids. And it's hard for me to be here and want to be here when I want to be home. But I know this is so vital for me and so vital for my business. So I'm going to make the most out of it." And that was literally everything that I had to say. And guys, let me tell you, this person is like someone that, I mean, is incredible, and someone that I've learned so much from already. So having that first encounter was so tough for me. And I was honest, I was vulnerable, but I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm here and I'm going to make the most out of it. And I just remember that the next thing he told me was like, "You know what? I've never seen it in a perspective of a working mom like that. And that's really going to make me think about all the women and the moms that work with me and how I can be better for them." And we just had this incredible conversation about that. And it had nothing to do with what I really wanted to talk about, which was like my industry and all this other stuff. But I'll never forget that moment in itself set up so many future encounters that I've had with this person. And they've been so fruitful because I made the time to go and I was genuine, I was honest, and it lifted my spirits right off the bat because even though I was missing being home, I was really able to connect and like lift my spirits and just know that this is someone that I want to be in my inner circle. So I think that was a really cool story. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Before your next networking event, I encourage you, write these three things down. Write your core values of who you are as an individual and in business. They should more or less mix. Write down what the purpose is of you being in that event and who you want to connect with. If you have those three targets, you are already walking in knowing who you are and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish when you get there. Pillar number 2, stop networking random and like accidentally. Look, I know this might ruffle some feathers, but you can't just talk to the person who's, next to the shrimp cocktail. Like, no, I don't think that is a strategic, and I don't think that's the best way to walk into a room. all these events that we go to or that networking events are being hosted, a lot of them are on Eventbrite or LinkedIn or Facebook. And sometimes they have a guest list that are already registered. So you can see who's going. I always find out what the guest list is, who's going, specifically sponsors. There's a lot of sponsors that, are there in the events and whatnot. So you can see already who is going to be attending. And you might say, Steph, this is not really like a networking thing. No, this is being strategic, because if you are building a business, if you're raising kids, if you are, or just limited in time because you're doing so many things, you need to make sure your time is worth it. You need to make sure that when you get there, you have a plan of action, because if you don't look at who's going, if you don't see what kind of event it is, if you don't see who the sponsors are, then you're just hoping. And hoping is not a business plan. It is not the best way to actually make the most use of your time. So before you go to a networking event, do yourself a favor. If it's an Eventbrite, if it's, one of those things where you can check who's going, see who's there. There might be someone that you really want to connect with, and now you have the chance to see them in person. Find out who's there. Don't just sit there and wait for someone to come and talk to you, but be strategic about it. Know your reason and know who you want to already formulate a connection with. And here's a pro tip. If you're going to a networking event, I recommend you show up early. I know it's not like ideal because you don't want to be the first one there, but in reality, you kind of do, because you want to speak to some of the sponsors that are there. A lot of the times they haven't given their pitch yet, or they haven't been exhausted by a million people. So you kind of have the opportunity to get real with some people that maybe you want to connect with, that are exhibitors or, business people that you might want to get sponsors from, or whatever the case may be. Like, you have the opportunity to get them fresh, to be the first ones to say, hey, like, how's it going? Or whatever the case may be. But I did this, I'm telling you guys, I've done this for years. And the first thing that I would tell my sales team whenever they would go to a networking event, or whenever they would, I would do a booth somewhere at a show or whatnot, and I would try to expose my company, was get there early, speak to sponsors, speak to the rest of the other exhibitors, because we're all trying to get business. So why not talk with them first, help them build their booth? Like, I've done that 1,000 times. Pillar number 3, read the room. Okay, I think body language is everything. I have been to hundreds of networking events, and if you can learn the art of reading body language, you don't have to be awkward. Because some of us walk into these events, and if you see a group that is very like shoulder to shoulder, they're kind of in their own circle, you don't want to interrupt that. You don't want to be like, no. Read their body language. Maybe they're having a deep, intense conversation, or they've already connected, and you don't want to be interrupting that, because you're already going to start off kind of awkward. And that's not what you want when you're trying to, solicit yourself, when you're trying to expose your business to somebody. I would recommend, if you see another group or you see people talking and there's an open space and, they're not like super tight knit or in deep conversation, at that point, you can just join that circle and easily say, hey, I'm Stephanie. What brings you to this event? No elevator pitch. No, this is what I do. How can I do this? And no, not what I need from you. It's just a simple, hey, I'm getting into this groove, and I'm getting into these people who are, just chatting regularly. And it's an open invitation. Read body language. It's very important. Another pro tip, eat before you go. I know you guys are going to be like, well, there's food at the event. Like, eat before you go. Okay, the last thing you want is to be the one that's eating all the shrimp cocktail or grabbing all the food from everybody, and you're mid-conversation with like food in your mouth or something on your teeth, because it's very distracting. And you know what I'm talking about. Man, the last thing you want is to have food in your mouth when you're trying to meet the person that you were trying to get to since the beginning. Real quick, if this is hitting home for you, please make sure you're taking notes and that you hit the like and subscribe button, because in the business of becoming, we're all about growing our business, our mindset, and everything that we do in leadership. So I'm going to get to the next step, because this is a game changer for you. Pillar number 4, your network is only as strong as the value that you can bring. You don't want to be that person that is take, 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 take. When you go to these events, you want to have something of value to share and exchange with somebody. My biggest thing that I bring to every networking event is that I'm a connector. I know so many people in so many vast industries that typically, if not always, I have someone that they should connect with. And that's the value I bring. My 15 years of experience and in business and in marketing and in everything that I do, I usually have an answer to, hey, you do this? Oh, I know someone who does this. Maybe you can connect with them. This can probably bring value. So I don't just take from these events, even if I'm going there strategically wanting to meet someone in particular. I do my research and I say, okay, how can I bring value to this person so they don't feel like I'm just another needy individual wanting their business only? You gotta bring value because in networking events, yes, you're there to expose your business, you're there to promote yourself, promote your brand, but you wanna bring value. And if you're selling something, what's your value to that, right? What solution are you bringing to their problem? That's your that's your pitch. That's how you're going to sell. But you got to bring value. Before your next event, ask yourself these questions. What value do I bring to the table when it comes to these events? What can I do? What solution can I solve for some people? Because at that point, these events are just going to be cake for you. Pillar number 5, guard your circle. This one's personal to me because I've seen so many incredible, talented individuals that because of the circle that they're in and because of the people that they're around, it limits their growth. And there's a saying that says you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I know you probably heard that before, but please let that sink in. Write down the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And you are the average of that. So why am I saying guard your circle and talking about this? Because I've met so many people in networking events that I've realized, man, I need to change up my circle. I need to be around people who are going to push me a little more, are going to challenge me a little more, are going to pray for me more, are going to encourage me to just be uncomfortable. And I see people who I want to work with or I want to be more like. That's the greatest thing about networking events, guys, is that you are in a room filled with people that want to be better. You're in a room filled with individuals that are working hard to get the life they've always wanted. Okay, I'm not saying to have 5 CEOs on your speed dial. I'm just saying, again, have people who are going to push you, who are going to encourage you, who are going to challenge you, because being uncomfortable is incredible for you and your business. I also just want to be very clear that if you feel that in this season you are isolated, you're kind of alone, this is your training ground to find those people who are going to push and are going to make you the better version of yourself. Okay? I've been there time and time again in multiple seasons of my life where I've had to, or I've had outgrown people, or I've had to catch up to people that I wanted to be more like, or that were going to push me and motivate me to be a better version of myself, or believe in things that I didn't believe in for myself. Guys, there's been times where I've wanted to throw the towel so many times. I've wanted to stop and I wanted to give up. And when I've been able to connect with those that I've met either at networking events or people, that I've walked life with in business and whatnot, they have lifted up my spirits and have reminded me of the capabilities that I have and has made all the difference in the world to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I'm going to break this down to you guys one more time. Know who you are before you walk into this room. Be strategic with your networking. Know who you want to speak to before you get there. Read the body language. It's going to make a huge impact on your first impression, okay? Bring value. Don't just be take person. Nobody likes that. And the last one is guard your circle. You want to make sure that when you're going to these events, if there's people that you want in your circle that are going to bring value to you, that are going to lift you up, that you keep those connections, that you make them strong, and that you invest into them because they will bring you a return that not many other relationships can. This is Networking 101 for the real world. This is not your textbook ordinary networking. This is networking for real entrepreneurs, for working parents, for those that your time is limited, and those that maybe you found yourself stuck in every single room that you've walked into trying to network. All right. It is fun. Go out there, do it, and come to the next event that I have. I can definitely help you out, and I connect you to the people that you need to be talking to. So if this landed with you all, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching this far. You are a warrior, and you're going to be an incredible networker. I can't wait to see you guys on the next one.